Welcome to Your Capital What's Up. I'm Chuck Wiger, your area state senator. Thank you very much for watching. Today we're going to talk about the arts, and I'm very pleased to have with me Michelle Wright from Oakdale. She's an advocate for the arts. It's a group called the Minnesota Citizens for the Arts. Annually at the state capitol, many of my constituents come, as well as other art activists throughout the state, to show their appreciation. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And for the Citizens for the Arts group, tell us a little bit about it, and then we'll get into some of your activities where you work at the Children's Theater, and actually as a mom too, you're active with various art activities. So
Sure.
How about for the overall statewide group?
Okay. Well, I got started with it many years ago when I have a background in visual arts. I went to College of Visual Arts in St. Paul, which is defunct now.
Yeah.
But we
A lot of graduates that have gone on into many fields throughout the Twin Cities.
Oh,
so.
yeah. And the alumni of that school were still very active and very connected with each other.
Yes.
So yeah, it was a great time, and I loved that school, and I was sad to see that it couldn't continue. But we were encouraged to participate in advocating for the arts then, and that's when I got started. And then I've been working at the Children's Theater for the last 15 years, and we are always encouraged as staff to attend and to advocate for not just our organization, but all artists across the state. So
Now, I see you do have a fact sheet.
I do.
And there was a lot of information that was handed out to the state legislature
Sure.
about the tremendous economic impact of the arts as well as the enjoyment. But if you'd like to share some quick facts
Sure.
for us, and you can read off that or whatever you'd
I'll
like.
read this off because I'm not really the definitive expert on all of this, but I do know from my own personal experience, I have an arts education, I work in the arts. Arts are really important, not just to me, but to my family and to my community. So that's why it's important to me as a person. But, for Minnesota Citizens for the Arts, there's, tens of thousands of artists across the state of Minnesota that have an impact of over $1 billion for
Can
the
we
state.
talk about the types of artists too? It's
Sure.
fairly broad.
I mean, and this is just I believe in the fine arts field. So painters, theatrical performers, musicians, in all of those art fields.
Thousands of people are involved in this.
Thousands of people. And I mean, this isn't even really including the commercial arts. Advertising, photography. Commercial photography, graphic design. So,
Yes.
I mean, if you start thinking about those numbers, the arts employ a lot of people across the state of Minnesota.
Yes.
So the jobs supported here, like I said, it's tens of thousands. But if you think of people who are impacted, who aren't artists but are just citizens who appreciate the arts, I mean, that's or millions of people across the state of Minnesota who love to go to the museums and theaters and other places like the orchestra, places like that across the Minnesota. So, yeah. For me personally, I have 4 students who are in District 622, and I feel like like I was telling you before, we started here, they all take piano, not my 3-year-old, but the older 3 take piano, and I feel like the arts really enrich not just themselves as people, but also their academic success at school. So I feel like there's really...
There is a correlation between participating in the arts and academic success.
Oh, definitely. My son, who's 11 years old, he really excels at math, and I have to believe that some of that is just integral to him, but part of that is enhanced by him playing piano for a number of years.
Yes.
There's a relation between the two that I think is really important. So, yeah. We spoke before when I met you at the Capitol about our schools having more financial support
Yes.
to have more arts available for students, and that's something that I feel really strongly about as well. I want us to keep pushing to get more financial support for students.
Well, we know of the return on investment, and so hopefully we're going to be able to continue to increase our efforts, and you're a great example as to why it's important. So
Right.
now you work at the Children's Theater.
I do.
Tell us about the Children's Theater and what you do there.
Sure. I work at the Children's Theater. I've been there for about 15 years. It's a very fun place to work, and it's a very fun place to bring your kids. We are just getting to the end of our current season, which is our 50th anniversary. We opened a piece for preschoolers called Animal Dance, which is a delightful dance performance piece with actual real live animals on stage.
Yes.
And Ann Carlson is the performer, and it's they're not trained or stage animals. They're real animals that she's just reacting to in their own environment. So that's a really fun piece. And then we will be opening in a couple of weeks Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which I know my kids have read all of those books, so we're really excited about that too. It's a full musical, directed by a really fun director from Chicago, and it's going to be a really great piece.
And of course, there's a website with lots of information
Sure.
about the theater.
www.childrenstheater.org. And we just announced our next season. We start the summer with Pinocchio, which is it's one of my favorite pieces by this British writer called Greg Banks, and he directs it as well, and he's wonderful. He's done a lot of pieces for the Children's Theater. It is a frame of 4 painters, like construction painters, who are in a space, and they are asked to tell this tale of Pinocchio with just their painting scaffold and buckets and paintbrushes, and they use all of these things as props to tell the story. So that one is really fun. And then we have Elephant and Piggy, starts in September, based on the Mo Willems books. He also wrote Don't Let the Pigeon Ride the Bus. That I know my preschooler loves those books.
Yes.
We have an original piece called The Last Firefly by Naomi Iizuka, sort of based on Japanese folk tales, and it's a beautifully written piece. Christmas is a favorite that we're bringing back, Cinderella, told in the classic British panto style, where the stepsisters are played by men in drag, and it's just so funny. That's another one of my favorite pieces. And then we get into the spring, and we are doing a new piece called Dr. Seuss's The Sneetches. It's a new full musical that we're really excited about. And then we end with A Year with Frog and Toad, which is a piece we did that was nominated for some Tony Awards in 2003, and we're bringing it back after a number of years of. We did it then. We had done it a couple years after that, and it's been a while since we brought it back on stage. So
there's a lot happening there.
There is a lot,
and now your job is to help
Sure.
put it all together.
I run a program called Plays for Young Audiences. So that program is when we commission and develop new pieces like Last Firefly, it comes to me, and then I make it available to other theaters and schools to produce. So I'm more, the people that I work with are theaters and schools across the country and even internationally. We have a lot of customers in Australia and in the UK, and some of our scripts are used to teach English as a second language in China, in Korea, and other places. So it's a very fun job, and that program started in 2004. So I've been running that for the last 10 years.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
And in terms of your activities locally, you mentioned your involvement in the schools, and because as a parent, that's very important.
Yeah, it is.
Working with them and provide lots of joys through the Children's Theater for thousands of others, but working with the children locally is important. And for yourself, what is there a particular art form you mentioned? Going to school.
Sure.
And graphics.
Yeah, we did. I've gone to school before. I am busy working, so I wish I could give more time.
There's only so many hours.
Yeah, there's only so many hours,
Yes.
but I did last year with my son. We did Dias de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, skull decoration project that was really fun. You know, we did that around Halloween, around the holidays, so that was kind of fun. I've also helped with. We did for first when my daughter was in first grade. They did an after-school play rehearsal. We did the Jolly Postman, just a short snippet of it, and that was really fun too. So I wish I had more time to contribute to that.
Well, you're doing your fair share,
Yeah.
that's for sure. And the decision to live in the Oakdale, in our neck of the woods, why did you make that?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Woodbury, so it's not that far. My mom still lives there, and then my husband, his parents live in Maplewood, so we're from this area. We like living here. We have grandparents who are close to help out with the kids. So, and Oakdale, I love. Our house has a pond off the back, and there's so many protected wetlands and areas for natural habitat that it's just when I work in Minneapolis and everything is just really concrete jungle there, and then to go back home and to be able to just hang out in the back and look at the deer and the eagles, hunting and stuff. It's really nice.
The parks and open space has always been a high priority of the area officials and arts as well. So that's great that it's been working for you.
Right. I love that we have the. I live right by Walton Park, so that's the park we go to a lot. And there's that little outdoor amphitheater, and I've always thought that it would be cool if there was more live theater in the summertime, like the summer stock type of a thing. So
you've got some connections.
Yeah. Maybe I can figure out a way to make that happen. Some Shakespeare or something in the park, I think would be kind of fun there. Because it's already sort of set
Coming
up
soon.
where you can perform out there. But I love that Oakdale has in the Nature Center. There's a gallery for visual artists to exhibit.
And the whole area, this whole Northeast Metro, you see a lot of support for that. In addition to the whole state.
Yeah.
And when you're at the Capitol and sharing different examples, but we certainly walk the talk locally.
Sure. Yeah. It would be. So I have a 9-year-old daughter who's a fourth grader at Eagle Point, and she's performed a few different places. She's weirdly, I work at a theater, and she's the only one that is interested in acting at this point. But she had just performed in Stars on Broadway at the Woodbury Community Theater, Merrill Arts Center, and I was reflecting on that. Like, it's so great that they have this really nice community performing arts center. So that's something else for us to work towards in Oakdale, because it would be nice to have
all the beautiful theater in Maplewood, and of course the Lakeshore.
There's
so much excitement.
Yeah, that is true. We have Ashland Productions in the Maplewood Community Center. That's a beautiful, and she actually has performed there too, and that's a beautiful space. So yeah, definitely.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your work for the arts as a mother, as an employee at the Children's Museum, and as a statewide advocate for the arts. You work together, and you can accomplish more doing that.
Right.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers about the arts?
Well, I just want to reiterate that the arts are an important part of our state's economy. There's a lot of artists that live and work in Minnesota, me being one of them, and that it is something that is not only a viable career, but that is something that's integral to other career paths as well. Having the ability to be creative lends itself to engineering or the medical field, all different areas. So I feel like that I'm so proud that we have the Legacy Amendment that continues support of the arts.
Yes,
and
thanks for mentioning that. The voters approved it, and it has made so many great projects available for us to appreciate and enjoy.
Right. And it's something that we just committed to as Minnesotans, that the arts are important to us. our state parks and our wildlife is important to us, and that we're going to put some money aside for those things. So I'm very proud of that. And I do actually, because I work with other theaters and schools and stuff across the United States, it's really not that way for a lot of other states.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm proud to say that I live here.
Well, Michelle Wright of Oakdale, thank you for your activism,
Yeah.
for the Minnesota Citizens for the Art, for your work at the Children's Theater, and walking the talk locally in the community on projects with the kids. We deeply appreciate that. Continued success to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And viewers, if you have questions about the Minnesota Citizens for the Arts, they have a great website. Check that out, as well as the Children's Museum. If you have questions of me, give me a call. My cell phone is 651-770-0283, or at the Capitol, 296-6820. With Michelle Wright, I'm Chuck Wiger. Thank you very much for watching. Okay, we'll be on camera a little bit here.
Okay.
And so hopefully we covered most of the points.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and I think, well, we can put their website, but I think the website.
Yeah, and
is
we'll
maybe
see. I don't know if you can share that with them in there. They might be able to
Put something
clip
on
that on there.
Okay.
So
Yeah. All right.
great.
Great.
Okay. Well, thank you. And then
Thank you.
unclip there. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
I'm going to go to Judge Bastian. He's my next.
Okay.